A developing story and arrest is made in the illegal medical lab case in Reedley. Our station has been investigating this story for months.
It has captured the attention of the entire country. 62-year-old Jiabei Zhu from China was arrested on several federal charges, including manufacturing and distributing medical devices and lying to the Food and Drug Administration. Tonight, Reedley's city manager says it was the lab operator's own greed that led to his arrest. CBS 47's Medeiros Babb investigates.
The DOJ says that Zhu had several aliases, including David He. Now, earlier this week, the lab filed an $80 million claim against Reedley and the county of Fresno for destruction of lab property. Reedley city officials used that claim to lure him back to the lab, and ultimately, he was arrested.
We didn't know where he was. And frankly, the claim that they levied against the city that we received Monday gave us an opportunity to lure him out of the shadows, so to speak, and come back to Reedley. So in fact, this morning, 11 a.m., I shook his hand and I called him David for the very last time.
A full circle moment outside of the closed Reedley lab when Code Enforcement Officer Jesslyn Harper and City Manager Nicole Ziba witnessed 62-year-old Jiabei Zhu arrested on federal charges. It's the same warehouse Harper noticed a water hose coming out of last December, eventually leading to the discovery of 1,000 bioengineered mice, infectious diseases, and hazardous chemicals.
It's a mix of emotions, but the main one is I'm just so relieved for Reedley. I'm so relieved for this country because this is somebody who needed to be taken into custody.
According to the federal complaint, Zhu has a checkered past. Not only did he try to come over to the U.S. from China 7 times in the early 2000s, they also say he used several aliases, including a spider web of shell companies to hide his business dealings. The filing says back in 2016, he operated a company in Canada that was sued for $300 million over, quote, misappropriating technology over bull semen. An Epic Times report says that Zhu was sentenced to 6 months in jail, but says he left Canada. Somehow, the federal complaint says Zhu was able to get a United States citizen and immigration services card under a new name, David He, and opened a cattle reproduction lab in Tulare in 2015. In 2018, the company moved to Fresno. After a landlord dispute in 2022, the company temporarily moved to Reedley with the hope of moving back to Fresno in 2023. That never happened because the lab was discovered. With the help of Congressman Jim Costa, federal, state, and local agencies finally shut the lab down after several months.
Well, there are lessons to be learned here for sure. And that's why we are making the level of investigations that are currently taking place at the federal level. And to determine how we move forward.
Thousands of tests, including COVID and pregnancy tests, were found in the lab. Some of those tests were shipped to the lab in Reedley from China, according to the complaint. However, the complaint states that despite some media reports, there was no evidence that bioweapons were being manufactured in the lab. There's a scheduled court date tomorrow in Fresno, but the court reporter says he will not be present in court. Reporting in the studio, Medeiros Babb, CBS 47 Eyewitness News.